Alrighty, traders, welcome back. My name is Chris. I am Algo Man here on TikTok. And today we're going to lock it in, guys. Okay, today's recap of the Nasdaq 100 futures. We're back at it with CYMO Pro and the Scalp Mode combo, your dynamic duo for decoding the rhythm and velocity of the market. Okay, and right before we start, just like we do every time, we're starting by rewinding the tape. Okay, let's quickly take a brief look at the last 30 minutes of the prior session. Okay, this is yesterday's session. Okay, right here, guys. Okay, the last half hour of the session from 15:45 all the way to 4:15 in the afternoon. Okay, and what did we see right here? Okay, we saw a bunch of noise right here. Okay, a little pivot trade that came down. Okay, not a lot going on right here. You guys know these pivot trades are very short-lived. They're not to be chased or traded. Okay, it came back down. Nice, quick little pivot trade to the downside as well right there. And then we had a little cycle trade to the upside that appeared to start the beginning of what I can see as a trend right here. Okay, right there where momentum went above the threshold, that was your beginning of a trend. Okay, so if that's the case, then what are we looking at here? We're looking at the commencement of a trend to the upside right there. You've got the formation of cycle number one. And all this, guys, is before the market even opens today. So if you're seeing this in the last half hour of the trading session before you actually begin today's session, and you're seeing the complete formation of cycle number one, you've got price up here at the 0.90 threshold, which means you're definitely in trend mode. And not only that, but look at this. This is before the market even opened. Okay, you already started cycle number two. And if cycle number two is about almost halfway done and the market already closed, okay, what do you think might potentially happen? Okay, what do we see here? We see the formation of a trend right here, cycle one, the beginning of cycle number two, okay? Not a lot of speed, but definitely a slow moving trend to the upside that kind of lulls you into thinking nothing's happening until it does. And by the time this session here, guys, yesterday wrapped up, okay, we were already, look at this, we were already almost halfway through cycle number two, which, if you've been with us long enough, you know what that usually means. A morning pullback is highly likely, okay? And that's the beauty of CYMO, okay? It maps out the market's heartbeat before the bell even rings, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and pull the trigger here and run this bad boy at 10 times the speed of the market and see exactly what happened at the market. I'll be pausing this, okay? It'll go down, exactly. That's right, silent noise, it'll go down because if you're at the almost halfway through cycle number two, and your average trend only holds 2 cycle rotations, there's a very high probability that this bad boy is going to open downward, okay? And that's the whole process of understanding market structure and where it might open in the morning. So let's go ahead and play this bad boy now and see where it goes and how to trade what happened in today's session, all right? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. Let's go ahead and kick this bad boy off. Okay, this is the close of yesterday's session right here. And it'll start any second now. Okay, and here's cycle number two, guys. It's about halfway done right there, okay? Don't get fooled by this bar going up, okay? That bar is not going up. If you're halfway through cycle number two, there's a very good chance that this is probably gonna come down, okay? This is cycle number two. Look at that. There was nothing there to the upside. You would have chased this. You would have lost money on that trade. There's probably something there to the downside. Now that you've got both cycle and momentum coming down right there, and you've also got the accelerant going down right here, okay? So this might be a trade here to the downside, and we will take this trade-off the moment that cycle and momentum end up kissing goodbye right here, okay? Either that or the, okay, well, right there. This is exactly where we blow out of this trade right there, Let's see, it's going to go down right there, hit the VWAP.
Order filled.
That's it. That's enough. Okay, there you go. That's where you pull the trigger right there. That's a very quick, short-lived move to the downside. Your purple line here, your accelerant went above the zero line. That was it, okay? Cycle right here, right out of the gate, was cycling with intention, meaning there was structure to the downside, not chaos. We took the trade, we caught the swing, and more importantly, we got out when we were supposed to get out right here, okay? This is precision, not prediction, guys, okay?
Wow, did you see that? That's what you call precision.
That's right. Not only that, but check this out. This trade also hit the 80 bar VWAP right here. You see the wick came all the way down, hit the 80 bar VWAP. Now remember, there are only two things that can happen when price hits the 80 bar VWAP. I know I sound like a broken record, guys, but I have to stress this because this is so important to just have this at the forefront when you're trading. Two outcomes, okay? Either it bounces or it breaks, okay? And in this case right here, it hit the bottom of the VWAP right there, and instead of breaking, it bounced right there. And let's go ahead and see how this shook out. Now, here's something else, guys. If it's gonna bounce off the 80 bar VWAP right there, do you really think that momentum here is gonna pull price down and bring it all the way down, or it's gonna bounce and it's gonna continue to go up all the way into this 15 bar VWAP right there? If you're here at the bottom and you just had a nice little cyclic rotation and it hits the 80 bar VWAP, guys, you have a very high probability that this might end up bouncing and price may end up going up, okay? Just saying. Look, I'll tell you one thing, okay? And you can go back through your charts as far back as you want with the same setup you have, because you guys all have the same setup I have right here. Some of the highest probability trades that you're going to see here on your chart, and pay attention to this, okay, are when price ends up hitting the 80 bar VWAP and you're right here at this base support level on your VWAP right here. You see right here, okay, you got the 80 bar VWAP, you've got the base support level right here, because at this point, you know that only two things could happen with the VWAP. It's either going to bounce or it's going to break, okay? And if you're right here at this point and you just had a cyclic crossing to the upside and acceleration is going to the upside right here, guys, you have a very, very strong probability that this is a high probability trade that's going to slinky up and take off to the upside. I mean, where else is it going to go? Down? You know, unless momentum continues pulling price down and the acceleration came down, okay, maybe then. Let's give it one bar and see what happens. Okay, that would be your entry to the upside right there if you wanted to wait for momentum to actually kink up right there, all right? That would be your entry right there to the upside. I probably wouldn't have waited for momentum to tilt up because I know when it hits this 80 bar VWAP, especially down here at the base support of your VWAP, these are very high probability trades, guys, where price is potentially going to break and take off, okay? So, yeah, these are very high conviction cycle trades to the upside right there. And
order filled.
That's where I take the trade off right there, okay? Moment that cycle and momentum cross. Why? Because it's a cycle trade. This is exactly right there where you get off, okay? That's your cycle trade. That's where you pull the trigger. That was about a 50-point win right there, okay? You don't want to, you know, I paused for a moment because I want you guys to kind of see the difference. Whether you wanted to wait for momentum to tilt up to kind of give you that confirmation, make you feel fuzzy and warm, right? And I took the trade at that bar, okay? The ideal entry would have been at this bar right here. The moment that you see the crossing, that's it. Why? Because you're right smack at the 80 bar VWAP and your base support. This bad boy has no more strength going down. And all this is just a little turn, you know, where price is just going to slinky back up, okay? You already had the accelerant down here moving up. And if the accelerant is moving up, it's telling you that, hey, price is going to move up. And sure enough, it did. It moved up. And that was the end of that move right there, okay? So let's continue. But I thought that was just one of those little nuances that was really important to point out to you guys. If you're looking at high probability cycle setups, this is exactly what you want to see right here, okay? Okay, now momentum isn't, look, check this out. Here's something else. You just saw this, okay? 2 bars later, after I took the trade off, you see how momentum is not coming down, okay? Cycle is down, momentum is still at 0.90, okay? This is telling you right here that there is some type of little trend component right here in price, okay, that might potentially pull price up. Not only that, but your cyan line right here is still way above the inflection point right here, which tells you that there's a little bit more steam, a little bit more gas left in this trade. Now, if I want to take this trade up, guys, okay, I want to make sure that this bad boy stays above 0.90 and that cycle comes up, okay? The moment that cycle actually tilts up, you might have something right there for you to consider, all right? You're inside this 15-bar VWAP, so you got to be very careful because typically trades that originate inside the 15-bar VWAP, right there. We'll take a
Order filled.
cowboy trade right there. They're typically kind of slow movers. Right there. Just waited for this bad boy to pop up. Okay, and I took that also because I've got the cyan line up here, okay, still up here inside this little region, and you have the accelerant that actually just crossed up above the 0 line, okay? And if that's the case, then I might just wait until cycle number 2 right here ends up completing itself. And let's see if that happens. And that's
Order
it right
filled.
there, guys. Okay, that is the end of this move, okay? And I'm taking the trade off because you have a crossing right there of the 0 line of cycle number 2. This was a very, very slow moving cyclic style trend to the upside, okay? So, you know, if you begin counting your cycles right here, you got cycle number 1. Check this out, right there, okay? You've got cycle number 1, which ends right here, okay? This is where the first leg of the trade was taken off right here. I wasn't even sure that this thing was going to cycle. I was actually expecting momentum to kind of turn down, curl down, and follow cycle. 2 bars later, look at this, 2 bars later, momentum didn't come down. Momentum was still stuck right there. So I said, okay, well, maybe there's a little bit more juice left in this lemon. So I went ahead and waited until cycle actually popped up, until it tilted up above the 0.90, 0.80 threshold right here. And I decided to take it for the second cyclic rotation to the upside, which I got in right there. And I exited here because cycle crossed below 0. Hope you guys are following along with what I'm doing right here. Okay, so let's continue and see what else played out in today's session. And price is right back at the 15-bar VWAP. It's just inside right there, guys. You got to be very, very careful with any trades that kind of originate inside this 15-bar VWAP. They tend to be very slow-moving trades that typically don't have a lot of meat on the bone. So be very mindful of those type of entries, okay? And I'm not executing anything, guys, because, you know, price is just kind of bouncing around right there inside this 15-bar VWAP. We'll just kind of let it shake out a little bit and see what happens. Kind of went this way for a little while this morning, guys. You know, bounced around right there. But that's the whole purpose of why we have a 15-bar VWAP on the chart, to capture these tight little cyclic rotations that really aren't worth trading as far as risk reward is concerned. They're just too tight to trade, guys, okay? Stuff like this you just kind of avoid and just wait for an opportunity where you actually see good structure outside of this zone. So let's see what happens. Got a little pivot trade right there. Nothing happening right there right now. Okay. Nothing going on. Is this going to break to the downside, or what's going to happen? Looks like it might. Okay, so check this out, guys, okay? Here's something that you can actually cross-check, okay? That's important, that you can potentially do. Let's say you're in doubt, okay? You're watching your chart. You're like, okay, well, I think this might have broken, okay? I see that The VWAP is right there at the cusp, and in fact, it just went below the 0.43 threshold, okay? And you want to confirm whether or not this trade is really going to take off or actually do anything. So what you can do is pause for a second and go ahead and bring out your trend chart right here, okay? And if you bring out your trend chart, okay, you're going to see something really interesting here on the trend chart, okay? And, okay, I had some arrows here, but I guess my little floater disappeared. So I'm going to have to go back to the old-fashioned way. Okay, I'm going to show you guys something really interesting, okay, so that you don't get faked out, all right? Okay. Here's something really super interesting right here, okay? All right. Oh, wait a minute. That's the wrong one. I need to get a square right here. This is what I need right here. Okay, so looks promising. Exactly. It looks promising, but we always confirm with the trend chart. So the trend chart will kind of give you the real picture as to whether or not price is going to take off, okay? Here's something we see on the trend chart, okay? Yes, it looks promising, like if price is going to break and this whole thing might just take off to the downside, right? Okay, you can start with either one of these, okay? But let's just start from the bottom up. Scalp mode right there at 0.43, ready to go down, okay? Just cross right there. You had a shift in momentum going down right there. But lo and behold, look right here at your CYMO set to 14. What type of trade do you see right here that CYMO is actually flagging on the trend chart? Okay, is this like a nice, smooth pivot? Exactly. Exactly. Oh my goodness. I just feel super happy that someone actually said, yeah, that's a pivot trade. And what do we know about pivot trades? Pivot trades are short-lived, guys, okay? And if you see a pivot trade, even though these two align right here, you can almost guarantee your money, guys, that this is gonna be a short-lived move, okay? Never trade pivot trades, okay? Pivot trades are always very short-lived, okay? So even though this looked very tempting, you had a shift in momentum to the downside, you had confirmation right here. If you see a pivot trade like this, which is one of these little tight trades that all of a sudden, boom, pivots either to the downside or to the upside, avoid. This is not a trade to take, okay? This is a trade to say, all right, it really wasn't a strong setup. I'm going to go ahead and skip it and return back to my cycle chart, okay? Pivot trades, write it down in big letters, put it on a sticky on your computer, guys. Do not trade pivot trades. You see a pivot trade like this? Yeah, that aligned. A pivot trade is no. Very tempting to take, but it doesn't end well if you take a pivot trade, guys, okay? So always remember that, okay? In fact, if you notice here with CYMO, you see how price starts coming down? You've got 4 bars, okay? You sit on your hands, exactly. you see how price starts coming down right there? So here's your rotation to the downside right there, okay? You have a little pivot right here as well. This is also a pivot to the downside, but you see how cycle is crossing right above momentum, right smack right there. You see that? That right there is telling you guys that that pivot trade, which is what it is, it's over. So if you didn't have a trend chart, this right here would have told you, this little pivot right there would have told you that that's the end of that rotation right there. And I think that's important to highlight because when you're trading, sometimes the devil's in the details and you want to make sure you see those nuances so that you don't get faked out thinking that price is going to continue running, all right? So now we got a nice little cycle rotation to the upside. Momentum looks like it's going up. You're still stuck in this 15 bar VWAP zone, which is really not going anywhere. And it was actually stuck there for a while this morning, for a good while this morning. Just have to have patience with it. Just kind of let it play out. All right, so let's stop it right there again, okay? Now we've got a couple of things going on. We had a nice little cycle right here to the upside, okay, even though there wasn't a lot of meat in the bone because it rolled right into the 15-bar VWAP, but definitely a cycle. You can tell this is a cycle because you've got a sine wave formation right here, okay? Momentum's going up, cyan's going up, nice little sine wave formation right there. Cycle just crossed the zero line, and you've got momentum right here at the pinnacle of either coming down with the next bar or going up. But check this out. You've also got an early warning sign right here. Right here with scalp mode. The cyan line, okay, just broke out above the region-wide threshold. So let's go ahead and rewind the tape and go right back to what we were just looking at and see if this is the early onset of a trend. Now check out this setup right here, guys, okay? I had my little tool here. I don't know what happened. It just disappeared. I'm going to have to put it back as soon as I do the get off right here. Okay, check this out. Here on the trend chart now, we've got scalp mode that just popped above the threshold right there. Perfect. Okay, we got the first one checked off. Second right here, we got a shift in momentum. Beautiful shift in momentum. And third, we always want to see cycle above the zero line right there. Okay, looking at this chart, guys, okay, much prettier. Would this give you more confidence versus a pivot trade to take this to the upside? Would this be more in tune to what we've been talking about in hunting elephants, you know, where you're in the shrub and you actually see the elephant come out? I'd probably say yes, it is, guys, okay? It's a much cleaner setup, much easier to interpret, okay? Your cycle chart right here is telling you that, yes, okay, this is about to go up and this bad boy is about to go as well, okay? And if I'm looking at this, guys, the only thing I want to see is I want to see this, you know, poof, take off. And if it does, awesome. Go ahead and hit play again. I'll just wait one more bar. Okay, looks like it is right there. So we'll go ahead and take a buy signal and we'll go ahead and bring it back over here to your trend chart because this is the chart that you want to monitor to determine where you're going to exit, okay? And where you're going to exit depends on your PureMO and PureMO only, okay? So let's go ahead and run it and see where this goes. Okay, PureMO is actually rising really nice with very good divergence between both lines right here. Okay, just went into the exhaustion area right here, and we'll just let this bad boy run as much as we can. So this here, guys, would be the commencement of cycle number one. Okay, this is your confirmation right here that price did go into a trend right here. Okay, perfect. So you actually got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about a 7-bar runway before the trend chart actually picked up that you were in trend mode right here, guys. That's pretty impressive to be able to capture that on a cycle chart and then confirm it here on your trend chart right here, okay? So we're go ahead and let this run for just a little bit until we actually see the purple line come down, and once it tilts down, we will go ahead and get out of that trade. So here's something else that I'm going to just quickly point out to you guys. Let me just, right there. That would be the
order filled.
End of that trade right there, okay, as we know it. And there's something really interesting that I'm going to point out that I think is going to add value to you guys as far as your perspective, okay? Give me just a sec. And we'll just let this thing bounce around a little bit. It came back down into cycle mode. I'm trading the Nasdaq 100 futures. That's what this instrument is right there, okay? And that's it, guys. PureMO falls into the exhaustion zone right here. The contraction zone right here. The end, okay? There's nothing else left in the trade. And you got out with a very, very, very nice trade. Now, check this out, okay? There was a little bit of a nuance here that I want to point out to you guys because it's really important to capture this with your eyes, okay? Normally, the exit rule with PureMO is whenever it goes into this exhaustion zone up here and the trade starts getting a little bit stretched out, stretched thin, and exhausted right here, we know that our exit rule is whenever the purple line crosses below the red line right there, just like it did right here, okay? So this juncture right here was at about 10:58 in the morning. If you were in doubt, okay, that this was your exit or not, and we just kind of let it run. And when it sunk right here, we got out of the trade. Reason I stood in the trade at 1058, I'll show you right here. It's because here in your cycle chart, okay, if I get my crosshairs, and I actually put this right here, right at about where 1058 was, right there, okay? You were all the way in cycle number 2, and cycle number 2 had not ended right there, and you also had the accelerant moving up, okay, right there. Look at that. And I'm like, oh, well, the heck with that. I'm not getting out just yet, because I know if acceleration is going up, there is still one more push left until the accelerant goes up and comes down. And you see the moment that it comes down right there, guys, it perfectly gets you out right there at that bar. I didn't get out at the end of the accelerant. I got out when the purple line shifted to the downside on the second instance, okay? So if I go back over here, check this out, okay? This is where the accelerant was actually rising, and you were also in cycle number 2 over in your cycle chart, okay? And right around here is where the accelerant actually crossed below the 0 line. I didn't take the trade and get out until I saw the pivot here to the downside. Okay, so if you're concerned that you saw this a little bit too early right at the get-go when momentum went up right here in CYMO, you can always refer to your cycle chart and see which way the accelerant is actually moving. And in this case, because this was the this was the onset of a trend right here, I knew that this was probably just a glitch and that price would probably rise. But I confirmed that, and I knew that because I saw that on the cycle chart, okay? So that's what we have for today. I think what happened is that as we move deeper into the session, what I saw is something changed, guys. The cycles got longer. These weren't your typical 2 or 3 bar bounces that we've been seeing for the last couple of weeks. These were actually clean, rhythmic waves. And CYMO caught every beat of that, guys. And around mid-morning, this whole trend chart just kind of lit up the way it did right here. PureMO confirmed the directional intent. Dynamic VWAP helped us stay out of any chop that we saw in the cycle chart, okay? And we just ran this all the way till I think about 11 a.m. right now and caught some pretty decent trades with a lot of the nuance that we saw today here in the session, guys, okay? So I'll go ahead and stop it there for now, and I'll go ahead and answer any questions that you guys might have, okay? Yeah, there's actually a trial. It's a free 7-day trial, and the link's in my bio for that. And yes, you can use it on a funded account. We've got quite a good number of people getting funded accounts using these tools on a daily basis. So name of the indicator. The first indicator here is the dynamic VWAP, and this one here is called CYMO Pro. And you've got PureMO and you've got ScalpMO here at the bottom, okay? And you can actually grab the full suite, which is basically everything, free for 7 days, guys, okay? That's how it shook out today, guys. Look, today wasn't about speed. It was more about formation. The market didn't explode. It kind of evolved slowly, deliberately. And while others were stuck guessing, reacting, and second guessing themselves, you had the blueprint in front of you. And that's the edge. That's what separates you from the noise. Now, if you're a subscriber, here's what I want you to do. Replay today's session. Follow the same steps I walked you through. Execute the open, the reversal, the trend setup. Then, and only then, go and look at the chart I'll be posting in the Charts Recap channel and compare your results. If they match, you're dialed in. If they don't, book a one-on-one and let's fix it, okay? And I'll tell you guys why these recaps matter, okay? These recaps aren't just for fun. I'm not here to entertain. This is our trader's huddle. This is where we break it all down. The how, the why, and what to improve. It's where skill is sharpened and confidence is earned, not handed out. Because here's the truth. Most traders get chopped up in slow grind markets. Most traders can't tell trend from trash. And most traders are stuck throwing darts in the dark. Okay? Don't be stuck in the dark, guys, okay? But that's not going to be you, because you've got the tools, you've got the team, and you've got a process that's proven, repeatable, and real. This is the whole purpose of us getting together in the afternoons and talking about this. A year with you guys, just amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Sam Barbie. Appreciate the kind words, and appreciate the screenshots you send me as well. I mean, it's just amazing, some of the stuff you're doing. Really, really cool to see. We have a bundle discount for the full suite. And I'll be posting the video of today's session, guys, along with the screenshots, so you guys can audit this, follow it, practice it, and really, really nail it down. And it's systematic, guys. Okay, there's no emotion to this. There's no like gut feel. There's no like, oh, it should have done this or it should have done that. It's very systematic. It's very rules-based. We've got a cycle chart. We've got a trend chart. We monitor everything from our cycle chart. And if we spot the early onset of a trend in our cycle chart, we try to come over here and confirm it on our trend chart to ensure that it's really a trend and that we really do have a chance to take off. For example, when we saw the cyan line creeping down right here on our cycle chart, we came over here and we saw this, but we noticed that this was a pivot trade, so we didn't take it to the downside. We said, no, that's not really going to work out, and look what happened. Pivot trade, short-lived. It just took off. You saw how CYMO perfectly caught the pivot trade right here. Okay, that was the end of it. There was nothing left in that pivot trade. In fact, little three bar move, not a lot of meat on the bone right there, but it did capture this one really nice to the upside right here. Okay, the early onset of a trend. And remember, guys, what's important, cycles always precede trends, okay? And you always have some type of cycle that follows a trend afterwards, okay? So if this is the cycle component of the trend right here, before it begins, you definitely want to jump in early. And that's the reason we flagged it right there. Look at this. Right before you actually saw this break out right there, you kind of had an early indication that this was going to be going up. Right smack right there, okay? We saw it here with CYMO. Then we said, uh-oh, let's go ahead and confirm, okay? And we came here and A, B, C, done. Okay? And that's how you hunt an elephant. We've got a whole little series, guys, on hunting elephants. There are 3 videos that kind of walk you through the logic and the process of how it's done. Also, don't forget what I mentioned to you guys earlier, some of the setups for the high probability trades, okay? Always look at your 80 bar VWAP, which is this green line right here. If you ever see price coming all the way down, hitting the 80 bar VWAP and hitting the base support, very good probability, guys, that price is going to hit and bounce right there, okay? Just like it did here on the cycle chart at the early, at the early onset of the session right there. Look at that, boom, okay? And it took off. Any questions so far that I can answer for you? I'll tell you guys something. You know, this is mid-year already. Just joining. Do you have a YouTube? Oh, yeah, I definitely do. If you click the link in my bio, there's a link to my YouTube in there. You can watch all these videos. There's actually a playlist called, there's a couple of playlists. There's a playlist called TikTok Vids, which covers all of these recaps. And there's another session called Hunting Elephants. And that kind of walks you through the process of early trend detection right there as well. You got a bunch of videos right there on YouTube with some really cool playlists that'll really help you understand how these tools work, for sure. But guys, remember how you said you were going to make 2025 your best year ever? Well, half the year is almost over, guys. You got to get on it. It's time to get off the fence. So if you've been watching from the sidelines, kind of lurking in the comments, lurking on the stream, lurking in silence, now it's time to move. Unlock CYMO Pro ScalpMO in the dynamic VWAP, guys. You'll get access to our members-only Discord. You'll have access to Dr. Freud to tighten your trading psychology. You'll have 2 free one-on-one calls with yours truly, and of course, you can join traders who are learning to trade with clarity, and execute with confidence. Okay, all of it free for 7 days. Okay, so don't waste another trading session guessing, guys. You guys could just click the link and sign up, and let's make the next recap all about your trade.